So thank you so much for coming. Before we get started, just a few things about our guests. I'd like to start by saying a few words about Brenda. Brenda Simmons was herself born and raised in Southampton Village, and she is a graduate of Southampton High School. She earned her bachelor's degree in Community and Human Services from SUNY Empire State University. And after a career which included employment in various departments for Suffolk County and the Southampton College, she was hired in 2005 as the assistant to the mayor of Southampton Village under Mark Epley, where she worked for 11 years. And recently, a labor of love for her when she became the founder and executive director of the Southampton African American Museum. And she now divides her time between Southampton and St. Martin, where she is currently. We are very jealous. Thank you, Brenda, for the idea of doing this event. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Marcel, Dozier, the reason we're all here tonight, was also raised in Southampton and graduated from the Southampton High School in 1974. He attended Morris Brown College in Atlanta, where he received a bachelor's degree in communications. He has had extensive experience over the years in call centers, risk management, and financial services. And he served as president and partner at Crestwood Management in Beechwood, Ohio, where he directed operations across 3 divisions and 8 departments. And he also served as partner for an arbitration and recovery group. He continues to work as a strategist and consultant and currently lives in Fairburn, Georgia. Please welcome Marcel Dozier and Brenda Simmons.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yvette. And first and foremost, I would like to thank the Rogers Memorial Library and especially Yvette for this collaboration. This is our second one, and I'm sure we're going to do many more. And full disclosure here. Okay, let's say this. Let me say this. Cuz, okay, cuz.
Hey, cuz.
You have no idea what deep joy and honor it is to have the opportunity to spend this time with you. And
I'm excited and ready to go.
Yes, and I also want to thank everyone who was on here live, who has joined us live, and also who will be looking at this in the near future because it's going to be recorded. So let's go. So, graduate of Southampton High School, and I'm going to tease again, 1974. And I still can't get over. It is okay. I was 73, you're 74. Yeah. So we're that close.
Yeah, 1 year. Just 1 year apart.
I think what it was, when I went to vocational school for that year, I think maybe that threw me off. That's my excuse anyway. So what was it like growing up in Southampton and going to the Southampton Public School?
I had a good time. I enjoyed my time in Southampton. I was prepared for the schools at home. So before I even got to Southampton schools, you know, mom and dad prepared us, then the church prepared us. So by the time I got to school, I was ready. I was ready. And then don't forget now, also, I had a brother and a sister that went through the school system before me. So they laid a lot of the work before I even got there. So the school system was cool.
You know, I think that's very special to hear that because you don't usually hear that as much, you know, lately about how it starts at home, where it should
definitely
start, you know? What was it like in the community? I mean, that's what I want to talk about, to emphasize that. What was the community like?
Well, the community for me was, which is surprising when you look at it now, but I was surrounded with entrepreneurs and leaders. I mean, we had, you know, Randy Conquest with the barbershop. In today's language, he would be holding a master class.
Absolutely.
You know, that's how much information that we had in the barbershop. He made us all welcome. There was no subject that we couldn't talk about. Stuff you couldn't talk to your parents about, you could talk to them in the barbershop. So we had that. We had Paul's Taxi. My my uncles, my uncles were entrepreneurs. They had landscaping places. My Uncle Buddy had a club in Riverhead. So we come from a lot of entrepreneurs. My cousin Philip Seymour, grew the largest cabbage at that time in New York. I mean, Willie Smith. I mean, I can just keep naming folks. My Uncle Crook. I mean, we had so many entrepreneurs and leaders around us. Now, the church also had a big part because back then, if you were a minister or a deacon in the church, you got a lot of respect. And then going back to home again. At home, we were taught to respect, to honor, to speak right. So a lot of that stuff in the community was just fantastic growing up within that community. You had the Tuckahoe, you had the Avenue, you had the Hill. I mean, those places were great. And we knew everyone. I was talking to my sister the other day, and we were talking about the Hill. We knew every house on the Hill. We knew who lived there. Every one of them. I mean, every one of them. So that also means that you had eyes upon you all the time. All the time.
The pros and cons,
we
right?
grew up where you could get in trouble and they could correct you, and then you come home and get corrected again.
Absolutely. But it's such, I can't help it, but I have to say, I miss community so much there that I'm trying not to go there, but I'm going to go there just for a minute. I do miss everything you just said, every part of that, even the part, where you knew your neighbors, you knew your next door neighbor. And it was community, a common unity, a community, and it's gone now. For me, I feel it's totally gone. And
well, one of the reasons I think the community was so tight, most of the people were in the migration from the South to the North. So when they moved, they stayed in the same neighborhoods. So you had cousins down the street, around the corner, next to you. You had family. Family was the most important unit, was the family unit.
Absolutely.
And I'm proud, because a lot of people wonder and stuff, but I'm proud. Both my parents was in the house, my mother and my father. They were there and they raised us. And my father raised us with a real strong hand, but we needed it. We got what we needed.
Absolutely. And I'm trying to really go there, but you're making me go there, and we're just on flow today. I think it's such a sad thing, seriously, to see, that not being carried through at this time, I'm concerned about our future generation, and I really want to go there. I think I should change the subject, because we could go deep into that part.
But then when I talk about entrepreneurs, I can also look at different generations, and I see the entrepreneurs. My cousin Karen, I see leadership in Bonnie Michelle down there in Bridgehampton. My brother is a deacon at his church. I mean, so I see my kids are entrepreneurs. My daughter's into physical training, and my son is into entertainment. So I see that entrepreneur spirit still growing and coming, But Miss Eva's candy shop, that was happening. That was the place.
Oh my God, that and James Brown Barbershop, next door, that was the day, man. That was the day. And then Healy's, we talk about Healy's. We talk about Arts Market. I mean, we could go on and reminisce.
Gardeners.
Yes. So let me ask you, what was it like really in school? Did you have a favorite teacher? Was it anything that you can think of that it impressed you?
I think with the schools, my teachers were good. I had really good teachers. And like I said, some of them also taught Denise, some of them also taught Marvin. So some of them had expectations, but I think I honed my creative writing was in school. I really enjoyed my creative writing class because he challenged, I can't remember the teacher, but he challenged us. He made us think. And then I had other teachers who were not my teachers. For example, Miss Paterno, she used to have me come in and read The Ballad of the Landlord to her freshman class.
Wow.
And so the teachers were interactive and they were good. I mean, for a public school, teachers were good. Mr. Luce, Mr. Strickland. I mean, I had some great teachers.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Okay, before I leave off to school, what about the sports during the years we were in school? We have to touch on. We got to go there. We got to go there.
I mean, I think the basketball team had won. My cousin Pete and I were talking about this the other day when Foots and Ronnie Banks and the boys was playing. Oh my goodness. I mean, it was unbelievable. And everybody was there. I mean, that was the center of the community was, a night at the basketball game.
Yes.
Going up the island and playing the Comac. And, it was great. Sports brought us all together.
Yes, it did. Yes,
it brought us all together. Now, another thing we did at high school too was we had the trips to Shelter Island. I don't know if you remember.
Oh,
we
I
would take
remember
black and whites, and we'd all go to Shelter Island, and we didn't have problems and issues when we were in Shelter Island. But that was great, But we grew up, Southampton. You had, I had my brothers and sisters from the reservation. You had all different nationalities. It was a melting pot back then, and we had problems, we had issues, and we resolved some of them, and some of them we didn't.
Right. I remember that, those trips to Shelter Island. Yeah. I was remembering a few interesting things, but I'm not sure if I'm going to talk about it right now. But anywho, I do remember that they were really trying to emphasize us coming together as, a race. And I remember that was one thing they did. And I do remember they did another kind of event where you were invited to a white person's house for dinner. And then vice versa. So that was something that is interesting. I'm thinking, you brought that up. I'm thinking about that now, that was something that, they was making an effort. They was really making an effort.
And again, growing up in Southampton, my house, my parents, I mean, the door was open for anyone. It didn't matter what you looked like, what your color was, your education level. It didn't matter. I mean, that's that love that you get that was, growing up. They put that in us. They put that seed and it grew in us, that we love people. Now I had to learn that it was okay to love myself and my people and not hate others. And a lot of people didn't understand that, but I love me some Marcel, okay? And I love my people, but I love Jane and John and Paul and Susie as well. I love them all. And that's how I got down to Atlanta. Growing up in Southampton, we were in the minority.
Yes.
And I wanted to experience what it felt like being in the majority.
Okay.
But I learned from the minority and I learned from the majority.
Well, you segue right with the next, information I want to ask, talk about how you decided to go to Morris Brown College. And before you answer that, I just felt it was really, really interesting. I want to read something about the history of the institution. I do my homework,
Sure.
And I'm going to read this, and it was just really interesting to hear this, and I'm going to make it short, but I'm going to read it.
Okay.
It's called The History of the Institution. The circumstances that invoked the founding of Morris Brown are traditionally linked to a visit by a group of Clark College trustees to Big Bethel Church to interest the African Methodist Episcopal AME Church supporters to furnishing a room in their institution. In response to the proposition, they presented layman Stuart Wiley said, if we can furnish a room in Clark College, why can't we build our own school? These words ignited a flame in the mind of Reverend Wesley John Gaines, who went on to become founder of Morris Brown College. On January 5th, 1881, during the North Georgia Annual Conference at Big Bethel, he introduced a resolution calling for the establishment in Atlanta of an institution for the moral, spiritual, and intellectual growth of Negro boys and girls. I'm almost finished. The steps between the resolution and the opening were few and simple. The Georgia Conference was persuaded to join the endeavor. An assembly of trustees from both conferences convened at Big Bethel Church and selected the Boulevard site as the school's home. In May of 1885, the state of Georgia granted a charter to Morris Brown College of the AME Church. On October 15, 1885, just 20 years after Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, 107 students and 9 teachers walked into a crude wooden structure at the corner of Boulevard and Houston, Houston, and Atlanta, Georgia, marking the opening of the first educational institution in Georgia under sole African-American patronage. That institution was Morris Brown College, named to honor the memory of second consecrated bishop of the African-American AME Zion Church. I mean, and they
So you did your homework.
I did, the special curriculum focus on leadership. This what made me really know the emphasis. The special curriculum focus on leadership, management, entrepreneurship, and technology. So I guess you kind of went to class, huh?
and part of the motto is hating for all hungry souls, feeding them shall be our goal.
One more time, please.
Haven for all hungry souls, feeding them shall be our goal.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
And it's, you got Hosea Williams, coming out of Morris Brown at a time during the civil rights. It was just wonderful for me. I remember a funny story. My first week at Morris Brown College, I led a protest.
You did? I'm not shocked.
My first week at school, I led a protest. It was about hot water or something. And I remember calling home. I'm like, yo, Ma, guess what? Led this protest at school. She said, boy, I didn't send you down there to take over the school. I sent you down there to get an education. And again, I was prepared. The home, the church, the school, and Morris Brown gave me a platform to see who I really was. I'm away from home now. Nobody knows me. My birthday is on September the 8th. Freshman orientation week was like August 26th. They had a birthday party for me.
Wow.
I hadn't been there a week, So Morris Brown, I got involved with the student government. But again, being around my own for the first time. Now, this is my first time. I'm coming out of Southampton, New York. And so, you come down and it really helped shape me even more to understand who I am, where I came from, and where I can go. Because once I got there, my teachers, Dr. Farmer was writing part of the SAT and stuff. I mean, I had teachers that were just tremendous. And here's a fun, I remember in the English class, I turned in a paper, and me and my boy Europe was from New Jersey. And we both turned in the papers. I saw his, he saw mine. Mine was good, and his was okay. And so when we got our grades, I got a C, and he got a B.
Oh.
So I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm from New York. We don't go like that. So I go into Dr. Farmer's office. Yo, how did I get a C? And Europe got a B. She said, Mr. Dozier, Europe did the best he could do. You didn't.
Oh.
You can do way better than this.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, I was upset and I was mad. And then later on, I come to understand, I'm like, she was looking out for me. Absolutely. She was pressing me. Absolutely. And making me go beyond my norm or what I thought I could do. And she came to be one of my favorite teachers. But yeah, she pushed me right from day one. I was like, I looked at both papers. Mine was better. Yeah, but you didn't apply yourself. And that's so important. We can get by and be average or ordinary. Right. But why not be extraordinary? Absolutely, absolutely. And when you have a teacher that will push you, that means they care. Obviously. No doubt. No doubt. That's really, really critical. So, one of my questions was, which I think you already answered, was did you have any challenges or fears that you had to overcome when you went to college? It sounded like you didn't, but well, no. When I first got there, first time away from home. Yeah. Trying to, make your own footprints in the sand. And my advisor was just tremendous. I mean, Miss Cox was my advisor, and she was just tremendous. I mean, she worked with me. I even had I think I won the Mr. Morris Brown contest my freshman year. Okay. I did a reading, something creative. Freshman class president, SGA president. But yeah, I was nervous. But again, I was prepared. And what I tell people in business, proper preparation prevents poor performance, the 5 Ps. So I was prepared. I was ready to go. Awesome, awesome. I think I can say we all sort of evolve over time. And I, how did you really, over time you discover who you are? And so when did this happen when you decided to start your own business? Well, business is the, I think the honor that I've had. I've been able to run small businesses, and I've been able to run large businesses, and I've been able to own businesses. So I have a vision or perspective from all of them. But just when you're at the point of making other people money, and a lot of times they don't appreciate it. So what happens is you're working hard, you're putting in extra time, you're doing everything, but at the end of the day, don't get sick, don't miss any time, because you're gone just like that. So even when I took the job in Cleveland, now the goal was we were going to go. My group that bought the company, they wanted me to go check it out, and that's all I was supposed to do at first, is check it out. So for 6 months, I was flying between Atlanta and Cleveland, checking out the company. Looking at the P&L, the marketing department, the legal department, just going through everything. So after that, it came time to do something. The company had lost like $600,000 that year. And I still believed that we could make money if we made some changes and things like that. So it comes time to close the company and move it to Atlanta. But the people in Cleveland were fantastic. I mean, their work ethic, their knowledge of the products. I mean, it was like, I'm like, guys, I don't know if I can come to Atlanta and get this human capital that we have in Cleveland quickly. And so we were looking, so what are we going to do? And I'm like, I'll commute. You going to commute from Cleveland to Atlanta? I said, yeah, as long as I can come home on the weekends, you know, you gotta give me a nice package, you know, executive package, you know, let's do it. Let's do it. And that's how it started.
Okay.
And then I'm looking at it, and this is before I got any ownership into it, but the first thing I had to do was change the culture. And that's difficult. Everybody can't do that. I'm not patting myself on, but everybody can't do that. The first thing I had to do was teach people the difference between a thermostat and a thermometer. That's the first thing I had to do is teach them, because a thermometer is just going to give you the temperature. So I don't need you coming into my office telling me how things are, telling me the atmosphere is bad or whatever. You're part of it. You control that. So I had to turn people from that thermostat and turn them into thermometer, from the thermometer into the thermostat. And then they learned that they could control the temperature. They could control the atmosphere. So then I started teaching classes. I mean, formal classes. I taught classes on conflict resolution and financial literacy. And then I opened these classes up to their families as well.
Awesome.
And that was one of the things that we had to do is, you know, people tell you all the time, there's two things that people say that's not true. One, leave your problems at the door and come on to work. Your problems go wherever you go. Okay, you can't leave them at the door. And the other thing is that they tell you that people are your greatest asset. It's the right people in the right positions are your greatest assets. So I had to go through that, but the classes were fun for me because it put me in the teacher mode. And here's a funny story, and I'll let you go. But we had one lady, she was getting ready to go out on maternity leave. And so she came into the office and said, well, this is my last day. I'm like, yeah, cool. Go ahead, that baby girl. So what's up? She said, can I still come to the classes?
Wow. That's funny.
You know, but I started out teaching classes on the director level. So like Mondays, I would meet with all of my directors and I would teach them, but I would start teaching them about life before I got into teaching them about the business side. And one of the things that I found out was that you can't really understand or appreciate what another director's doing when you don't know what they're doing. So I started cross-training my directors. And then all of a sudden, there was an appreciation for what each director was doing because you understood what they were doing now.
Right.
And so I did that. And then I would go Tuesday. Okay, I'm gonna take it down to a level of management and I would teach them. Then I go Wednesday and take it down another level of management. And then finally on Thursday, I would teach regular employees in each division. So you had an average employee, could be brand new, and they had access to the president of the company. And we would do that for months on end. There was a time that I stopped having the meetings because I was tired. I stopped having the meetings and HR came knocking on the door like, are you gonna start up the meetings next week? Yeah, we're gonna start up the meetings next week. In the introduction, she was talking about in business, the different divisions and things like that. Here's another story. Not my HR director, but my assistant director messed up on payroll. I mean, she messed up. And so my director came in and told me what happened and said, you know, she would go ahead and terminate her. And I'm like, send in to me. So she comes into me. Hey, Mrs. Jones, what's going on? Head down. I did it. I messed up. I'm like, okay, this was a big mistake. This cost us time and effort. I know. I said, let me ask you just one thing. will you ever do it again?
Mm.
Will you ever do that again? She said, no. So you're telling me that you learned from your experience? Yes. I'm like, okay, we'll go back to work. So the HR director comes back in. You didn't fire her? Nah, she's good. She won't ever do that again. But the atmosphere when I got there was so bad that I remember I came in one day and the lady was crying. She was sitting at her desk and she was crying. So I called one of my directors, what's up with Sheila? Her baby's sick and in the hospital, but she had to come to work. I'm like, what?
Wow.
What do you mean? How old's the baby? 2. Tell her to come into my office. So she come in, I'm like, what are you doing here? Why are you not at the hospital with your child? I can't lose this job, Mr. Dozier. I'm like, okay, you need to go to the hospital and be with your child. But Mr. Dozier, I said, who am I? You're the president. So what is the president telling you? To go to the hospital and be with my child? So do you need me to take you? You need a ride? You know, I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
But when you do stuff like that for people, productivity goes up.
Absolutely.
Respect goes up.
Absolutely.
And if I always tell people, I said, if that building ever caught on fire, they coming to get me out.
Mm.
Now, the previous owner, they may bring some gas in there, you know, douse it with some gas. But that's one of the things that I do well, is I'm good with people, processes. I ran an IT company and had no IT experience. So the IT guys who were doing the programming and stuff, wait a minute, you don't know how to do nothing? I'm like, nah. So how are you gonna be our boss? I'm a communicator. I got you. So what's your biggest issue right now? Well, my biggest issue is the president. Okay, he won't come in here anymore. You ain't gonna deal with him anymore. What? I said, I got you. Do your job and do it well. And things like that happened. I think it was 2009 when the economy took a dip.
Right.
And most companies were laying off people. At that time, we had about 225 people, and we were going to have to, lay off about 20% of the staff. So I called a meeting with the directors, and I'm like, okay, guys, we're going to have to lay off about 20% of the staff, unless you guys come up with something better. And they came up with the idea, let's do this. Let's go to the staff and say, guys, we're going to take you from 40 hours to 32 hours. You're still full-time. You still get all your benefits. Nobody loses their job. And they ate it up.
Awesome.
And we were able to keep the entire staff, whereas everybody else was laying people off. We kept the whole staff.
Awesome.
Those are the things. That's how you change your culture. I brought them breakfast. You got 200, 225 people. I did breakfast every Friday.
Okay.
Every Friday. Pull out the tables, line them up, put on an apron, had breakfast catered in, and I served the breakfast. Me and my managers out there serving breakfast. That's how you build and change culture.
Absolutely. It's a quote that I thought about when you were talking. It says, failure is not an event, it's a person.
Yeah. And it's not something that you have to have.
Absolutely.
You don't have to fail. That's where the teaching comes in, is because people know what they've been around. It's just like my parents. My parents taught me things, but they had limited education. Okay, they weren't college grads. Neither one of my parents even graduated high school. So they taught me what they knew, and then it was up to me to take it to another level. And now it's the same thing with this generation. you give me something, I got to read the directions. I'm down there reading everything. I call my son up. He come in here and he don't even look at the directions.
Exactly.
I mean, just put it together. Boop, 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 boop. I got you, Pop. I'm like, you don't need the directions. So each generation changes.
Yes.
And we have to change with it.
Absolutely.
But business-wise, I love business. I love challenges. And that's one of the things I think that really hit me, even with the company in Cleveland. They lost $600,000 the year that we purchased them. Now, my first year there, we made $60,000. Now, that's not a lot of money for a whole year. Okay, that's not a lot of money. But it's a big difference in a negative 600.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
So when you're dealing with the P&L, and you're dealing with your legal team and your sales and marketing team and your accounting teams, I mean, to me, it was fun because I had to be my best. Just like Dr. Farmer at Morris Brown, she said I didn't do my best, and she made me apply myself. Same thing in business. You got to apply yourself. You got to be your best. You got to be challenged. My Uncle Joe, when we were out cutting grass, he used to tell me, he said, fast is good, but I'd rather you do it right.
I got you.
Because I'll be fast, get through, and then he had to come back, and we had to redo some things that I did fast. So he taught me when I was 13, 14 years old. Do it right, man. Do it right the first time. That way you don't have to go back and do it again.
You know, I'm going to turn this a little bit, because we're going to have maybe another 10 minutes, and we're going to open it up to questions. But as a handsome, well-educated Black businessman, were you ever pulled over by the police? And you're a communicator. How did you handle that?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've gotten pulled over. I've had to deal with the police dealing with my son, and I've had to deal with racist people. With the cops, you know, you gotta, you know, we've had to talk. So you gotta make sure your hands are there. I remember one time we were in Southampton, and I was with my cousin Rudy Archie, and we were driving, and we had some open bottles in the car and stuff, and the cops pull us over, shining lights in on us, and Rudy is like, man, if you don't get that MF light out of my face. And I'm like, Rudy, I gotta go home, man. And Shorty Dozier ain't playing. Come on, man. But the cops, I think they can tell, you know, what they can do and what they can't do, and who they can get away with it.
Right.
So I've always been respectful. I haven't had many my son was pulled over one time here in the neighborhood, and I ride by and he's on the street, you know, sitting out of his car. And, you know, I'm like, what's the deal? You know, why is he on the ground and stuff? Well, my son has dreads. He fits a certain profile. And I'm like, you can't do that. And it just so happens that here in my town, I knew the chief of police as well. So you deal with the situation. I was in Richmond, Virginia, outside playing basketball, me and a few guys. And these guys rode up in a car. And they yelled out the N-word and threw a bottle. Now me, I continue playing basketball. The 4 or 5 guys that I was playing with, they ran after the car. So when they came back, did you not hear what they said? I'm like, yeah, I heard what they said. They weren't talking to me. That's not who I am. And let me ask you something. Running after the car, did you catch it? I mean, come on, man. So, you know, you deal with things as they come up and as they happen. Hopefully, when you have a bad experience, you share it with other people.
Mm-hmm.
and you tell them, you know, what they should do. Now, even in today's society, you can do all the right things
Mm-hmm.
and still have a problem. You know,
That's right.
don't get it twisted. You can do all of the right
Mm-hmm.
things and
Mm-hmm.
still
Mm-hmm.
have an issue or a problem. For me personally, I haven't had many problems or many issues. But here you go again. Sometimes you don't even know that you had a problem or an issue because things didn't happen.
Right.
You know, like
right.
you applied for the loan and you didn't get the loan, or the appraisal of your house is lower than what it should be. And a lot of times you don't even know about these things, you see? So there's so many things that happen that you don't even know about. And I think that's just as bad as the things that you see and you deal with. But those things that you don't know about. Growing up in Southampton, I've had many friends. I still have friends from kindergarten. We're still friends today. I mean, but I've also had people that I've seen that they didn't grow. They did not grow.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, but it's the truth. They didn't grow.
Yeah.
They got caught, and they got caught in that mindset.
Yes.
And they stayed in it.
Yes. Yes. You know, so, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna go to just a tad bit. There are some people now that have changed when we had a different president in place.
Oh yeah.
And it's interesting that I've had my own experience with. I really was kind of shocked with some of the people that I grew up with, like you said, since grade school.
Yeah.
And you have a conversation with them, and all of a sudden, you're like, "What? Huh?
Where did that come from?"
And you know, it's funny because I'm reading this book I'm reading Michelle Obama's book, The Light That We Carry. And she said a quote in there: "Going high is about learning to keep the poison out and the power in." And you sound like you got that down pat.
Yeah, and that's what you have to do.
Yes, and you've taught other people.
That's what you have to do.
Yes, yes.
But it's like you said, but it was surprising to me to see some of the attitudes and some of the things that my classmates said. And it just makes you wonder. I'm like, well, were they like that back then?
I know.
And right? I didn't know.
Exactly.
You know, how do you get to this? But now think of this. When you look at the civil rights and all of the things that happened, if you look at some of those pictures, you see women and children yelling and screaming and cursing and saying things. That's how it's passed down from generation to generation.
Yes, yes,
you know?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I had a guy, I remember in one job, it was Christmas time and we chose names. And the guy chose my name. And he was like, I can't give him a gift.
What?
Yeah, I'm like, cool. Why not? You know, why can't you give me a gift? And then had a closer conversation with him. And he told me, he says, look, because I've had this happen to me a lot. Clients or somebody will come into the office and ask for the manager. Now I'm sitting behind the big desk in the big office, and you ask me, who's the manager? I'm the manager. I've had people tell me, what am I to say to my son when I go home to tell him that I work for a black man? I said, tell him, you got a good job, man. But that's what you got to do. You have to do things like that in order to, you know, keep things going. But then I've had it the other way too. I've had clients come into my office and we're talking and going through numbers, and then they just stop. Can I close the door for a minute? Sure. Close the door. What's up? Man, it's such an honor and a privilege to see you behind that desk. I really, really appreciate you being there. I'm like, man, I appreciate you saying that.
Yes, absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
I appreciate that. But it's, you know, the one thing that you can't change we can't change who we are. Can't change what it look like. You know, I'm a dark-skinned Black guy. You see me coming, okay? That's who I am. Now, this is something that my brother Marvin taught me. Okay, Marvin would always explain the what to me, but then he would go another step and explain the why. So now that you understand the what and the why, now you can go forward. And that's something that he taught me, and I've used it at every business I've ever run, every place I've ever worked.
Awesome.
Any volunteer work that I've ever done. Here's something that you probably don't know, but for several years, I was a chaplain at a minimum security prison. So I would go in maybe once a month and talk to the brothers in prison. And they would tell me, they said, you know, you come in here, no condemnation. You don't look down at us. You just talk to us like we're real people. I'm like, you are. You're real people that made a mistake. And now you're paying for your mistake, but you're still a human being. You're still real. And they would, just, the head chaplain used to tell me, said, look, when you guys come down, all we have to do, they know you're going to be here at 7 o'clock. We don't even have to remind them. They come in. And I would take like hip hop and mix it in with religion. And it would just trip them out. It's going down. It's going down. It's going down at the altar. It's going down. We reach them wherever they are.
Absolutely.
And that's how you reach people. Got a lot of knowledge and wisdom from my elders. I remember Sister Spellman lived across the street from my brother Marvin. And I remember coming home one day and something was going on. We were at her house and I walked in and she said, Jimmy, you look just like a preacher. And now I'm college now, so I feel I'm a little smart. So I'm like, okay, so what a preacher look like? So I'm thinking I'm stumping her now. What a preacher look like? Because she went in her purse and pulled out a mirror.
Is she?
Look in the mirror, boy.
Wow.
But that's what I'm saying. There is so much. You got to be a sponge. There's so much knowledge out there, so much wisdom out there from all different people, regardless of their education.
Absolutely.
We were just taught to always show respect for your elders.
Absolutely.
And I got lucky because my wife's side of the family taught me things that were different than on my side of the family. So like on my side of the family, in my house, the boys took out the trash, cut the grass, raked the leaves. The girls cooked the dinner, washed the dishes. Then I go on my wife's side and I see her father up there washing dishes. They're washing dishes. I'm like, what's up with that? So then I learned there's no such thing as women's work or men's work. It's just work.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It's just work. And everybody does it.
I'm enjoying this, but I'm looking at the time. This is the last question I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
What would you tell or say to a 13 to 15-year-old Marcel Dozier?
13 or 15-year-old Marcel Dozier, I would say learn as much as you can, regardless of what the topic is. Learn, because when we were in school, like home ec, that guys didn't take home ec. We weren't sewing and cooking. I didn't learn to type in school.
Mhm.
If 13-year-old, I said, yo, learn how to type,
Mhm.
learn how to cook,
Mhm.
learn how to sew. And I think most importantly, learn how to say that I'm wrong, and learn how to say I'm sorry.
Wow, that's awesome. We're going to stop there. And oh my God, I knew this was going to be, we almost need 2 hours, but I know we got a game tonight. So, Yvette, if you want to open up now for questions.
Okay, I don't see any yet. I forgot to mention in the beginning that we were saving questions till the end. So
Okay.
I'm sorry I didn't tell anyone
No
that.
worries, no
But
worries.
we can either accept them in the chat, or if someone wants to ask verbally, if they know how to use their hand feature, they can do so, and we can unmute them. Or we can also just have you physically raise your hand if you don't know how to. Although if your camera's off, I won't see that, but we have a couple of different options. If anyone has any questions or even comments, is fine. I would like to read what Nancy Stevens Smith, I always forget the Smith part, that she wrote. I've enjoyed this time with Marcel and reflecting on our community back in the day and how it prepared him, as well as many of us. Proud of his success, and I enjoy his inspirational writings on Facebook, including today's. And then she had to leave, but she said continued blessings to both of you.
Oh,
Thank you,
so much,
Nancy.
Nancy. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, I'm going to wait if no more. If no one's going.
I actually do see Eric has a question, and I think
Okay.
you're unmuted already, so you can go ahead.
Thank you so much. It's really not a question. It's a quick statement. I promise I'll be short, Marcel. I promise. I worked for Marcel in Cleveland some years ago, and everything he shared. First of all, I apologize. I was late. I got the time, the 6th, but I'm in a different time zone, so I just totally forgot. So I apologize for being late. So I only got the last half hour. But real quick, everything that I caught with regard to Cleveland is correct. He's an awesome, not just an awesome manager, but an awesome leader. And that's the honest to goodness truth. And I say that as somebody who worked for him. I don't say this to fluff him or to any, he is literally the best manager I've ever had ever.
Wow.
And for the record, he was not my direct manager. There was a layer or two in between that, but he is still without a doubt the best that I've ever had. I don't say that there's nothing I want from him, nothing I can get from him right now. Right now. No, but seriously, he really was. When people talk about the concept of a servant leader, he truly was. And the things that he said are absolutely correct with regard to, buying the breakfast, buying the lunches, serving everyone. I mean, that is so true. You made a mistake. I remember one time I made a mistake. It was a big mistake. I promise you, it was a mistake. And he was like, man, what did you like? How did you not know this? And I think it was more incredulous. Like, you're a smart guy. How did you mess up this badly? And it was, he's like, close the door. Like, oh Lord, but it was excellent feedback. And I didn't make the mistake again. I mean, he wasn't talking about me in that example, but he was talking about me in that example. And honestly, it truly, it makes a difference. It is the way by which I evaluate other people, other managers that I've had, before and since. And I'll just stop right there because I could take the next several minutes, and I know we're showing time, but I just want to say thank you, Marcel. Honestly,
I appreciate you, Eric.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we got 2 minutes. You have another person?
There was, I think, Joanna mentioned Leslie had, I don't know if they had their hand up or, yes. We just need you to unmute yourself if you can, Leslie. We can't hear you. And I can't do it. There's a little microphone, and if you click on that, it should. It doesn't allow me to unmute you. Do you see it? There's a little icon that looks like a microphone.
Do you hear me now?
We do. Perfect.
Okay, I just want to say hello to Brenda and Marcel. Marcel, this is Lamont Banks, Brenda. Lamont from Union, New Jersey. I'm your cousin. We never met, but our ancestry. Marvin,
come on, thank you.
Marvin, we are first cousins, believe it or not. Your mother and my father were sister and brother. My father, George Banks.
Okay.
Banks family. I can't remember you because when I visited you in Southampton, I think your brother Marvin was around 10. I'm 9 years old, and we visited at least twice. And I just wanted to say one more thing. Your mother, my Aunt Audrey, and my mother, Geraldine Banks, in 1948, came up from North Carolina and Virginia Beach to Southampton together.
Wow.
Yes. So
Wow.
I just wanted
That's some
to
history
say hello.
there.
I wanted to say hello, and you know, I had to make it here. I was a little late, but I had to make it to the meeting. But
Thank you,
you were great, man. You're fantastic.
Thank you. Appreciate you, bro.
Okay. All right.
We do have, is that okay, Brenda? We do have another hand up.
I'm good. I think we can go
okay.
maybe another 10 minutes before the
So
show,
there's
before the game.
I think it's
It's on Marcel right now.
So I think it's Adderley. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correct, but I did have to, if you want to unmute yourself.
Yes, it is Adderley. It's
Okay.
Ralph Adderley. Hey, brother-in-law. Hey, enjoyed listening to you, taking in your experience and your knowledge. My question for you is, what's the future of Black colleges, man? Because you had such a
Turn your
rich
TV down, honey.
I'm not sure who.
Yeah, I can't hear you, Ralph.
You can
There's
turn
some
your TV
background
down.
noise.
All right, somebody. Yeah, you had such a rich history with Black colleges, man, and learned so much. What's the future of our Black colleges so we can get more out of them like you?
Well, I think the future is strong, and I think one of the reasons that the future is strong is that I think Deion Sanders has brought a lot of attention to HBCUs, and I think people are now seeing the value of HBCUs. Like, I don't think that I would have had the same response from an instructor that I got from Morris Brown, like telling me that I can do better, I can do more. Usually you turn your paper in, you grade your paper, and you move on. But I think with the HBCUs, they take that time because they want to see you do better. And that's the thing with all of us. That's what we need. We need people to want to see us improve, to want to see us win, because even me and my business, I'm always in the situations, I want to see everybody win. There's enough room for everybody at the table. Let everybody eat. You know, it doesn't have to be me or you. It can be we. It can be us. And that's things that you learn at the HBCU.
Yeah.
I've got to be the last one, at least.
I think it's, we have, we'll start with Gloria. I saw Mark your hand too, but we'll start with Gloria.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you. There's
My name is Gloria Jean, and I'm so proud to see my two cousins, my two second cousins, Brenda and Marcel. I enjoyed the whole presentation. Very proud of both of you. And thank you so much for sharing.
Hi, Gloria Jean.
Thank you,
Hi,
Gloria.
Brenda.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks for inviting me.
We
This is
appreciate
awesome.
you.
And I think that's Mark who has.
Yes, that's me. Hey, big bro.
Hey, bro, what's up?
Having a
Hey,
little
all
trouble
right.
with background noise.
Oh, I apologize. I'm at work. I just went. I'm away from home and I'm at work. I apologize for the background, but I just want to say, bro, I love you. Thank you. It was awesome. And look, tell them about the discipline that
Appreciate
we
you.
had growing up. A little bit of that discipline that we had growing up. And hello, cousin George, and get in touch with everybody.
see the discipline that he's talking about, by the time he came around, our parents were soft. Okay. Now, Denise and Marvin, you know, but by the time Mark came around, they were tired.
It's so funny you say that because I felt the same way. I'm gonna tell a story. I don't know if Linda's watching, if she's gonna be mad at me. But I remember when Linda did something to my father, I think tapped him on the head while he was asleep or whatever. If we had done that, I mean, it would have been mess. But he didn't do anything to her. We was like, what?
Yeah.
We were almost like scared. We was wondering what was gonna happen, you know? But we always felt the same way. They got tired after a while, you know, and the discipline got light, you know?
Yeah, yeah, they got tired.
Not with me, I have to say. My mother did not get tired.
I heard that. But we appreciate, you know, I really do appreciate, when I look back, I really do appreciate the disciplining that we got. And I know my kids, I don't know if any of my kids are on. I remember them telling me one time I punished them for a whole summer, which I don't remember. But then I know they do appreciate it now, you know, because, you know, being a single mom at that time, it was challenging. Yeah. So I had to do what I had to do, you know, but I'm proud of them now. So, you know, I know it was.
I remember those stories of it taking my kids home, and it seemed like Crystal gravitated to my father and Marcel gravitated to my mother. And I came home one time and Marcel was up in a tree and I was like, get him out of that tree before daddy see him. And daddy was like, leave the boy alone. Like, what? I'm like, is this my father?
Exactly. So I don't know if it's like 8:06. We don't have one more. Oh, I'm sorry. It's 8:06 here. Sorry about that. So if we don't have any more, I do have one more question to end this for Marcel. And that is, what would be your hope and prayer for this America?
I think my hope and prayer for this America would be to find a way to come together and understand the value of diversity, understand the value of just being honest and open, and get rid of this, you know, like women can't do this, men can't do that, or blacks are this and whites are that. We are so much better when we come together. It's like a fist, you know, you can't receive anything as long as this fist is closed. But if you open it up, you can be like that sponge. So my wish would be that we just find a way. And you got to understand, when times change, people change and situation changes. And you have to change and grow, because either you grow or you die.
It's true. It's true. This has been an ultimate pleasure. And I knew it was going to be fire. And I know that you have what's the game tonight? Let's go there for real before we end up. What's the game tonight?
Georgia and TCU.
Okay. Is this a playoff?
This is the finals, national championship for college.
Wow, wow. Well, I wish you well. I wish your family well. And I root for your team.
And thank you, to Brenda and the Southampton African American Museum. Thank you, Yvette, with the Rogers Memorial Library. In the words of Les Brown, it's been a plum-pleasing pleasure.
I love it. I love it. Yvette, so I guess we're going to sign off.
Yes, thank you everyone for coming. Brenda, again, thank you for this collaboration and for being so great to work with. So thank you so much for the idea. Marcel, thank you for your time and for coming. And everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you at future events. Thank you so much.
All right.